Hi, it's Savannah Ogwin from Savannah Land 2. Today I'm going to share how to extend your paper smooches Notebook Basics die using two different techniques. I love my new paper smooches dies, especially this notebook one. However, I wanted to make it longer and use it on some cards. And you can see the difference in size right here. To extend your die, there are two different techniques. For the first one, you're going to want to use some embossing pads. I bought mine from a Muse Studio a while back. The pads come in two different thicknesses. And for this project, you're going to want to use the thicker or a lighter tan pad. You're also going to want to have some pattern paper and a die cutting machine. I'm going to be using the Cuttlebug along with the plates A, B, and C. Now when you extend your die, essentially all you're doing is die cutting it twice. You're going to be placing it on your paper along with your embossing pad, die cutting part of it, moving it down, placing your embossing pad back on there, and cutting the rest of the image. So for precision placement, I like to place my die face down on my paper and trace around the edges. I do this lightly so that I can remove these lines later. And these lines will be guidelines for when I'm moving my die down. Now you're going to want to stack your plates A and B. Place your paper down. And I also like to tack it down. Then you're going to line your die face down back up with those lines and tack it down. Now because we're cutting the top half of this image, we're going to lift the bottom and place our embossing pad down, making sure that our lines are lined up with our die. You're going to top your stack with the C plate and run it through your machine. You will notice that I cannot run the plate all the way through because of the embossing pad, so I will stop right here. Remove your C plate, your embossing pad, and your die. Notice that only half of this image cut. Now you're going to want to place your die face down again, a little bit down to extend your die. Now on my card I only added about an extra inch, so I'm only going to move my die just about right here. Now I'm going to make sure I line up my image lines and tack them down. I'm going to move the tacks to the bottom because we're going to be cutting the bottom half now. I'm going to lift up the top half and place my embossing pad underneath there. Making sure that I've lined up my image lines again. And because I can't run this embossing pad through, I flip my stack, top it with the C plate, and run it through the machine. You remove your sandwich and all of your blue painter's tape. You will have an extended die image. Now if your image doesn't cut on the top, just cut across and then peel these little circles out. And that's one technique to make an extended notebook image. So what do you do if you don't have these embossing pads? Well, the second technique is much easier. What you're going to want to do is take 3 pieces of paper and die cut your image 3 different times. So you will get 3 notebook images of the correct size. Then you're going to place these in your trimmer, and I just stacked them just like this, and cut them in half. Like this. Now, all I did was tape them together to the desired length. And you can even cut this middle one again so that you have another piece. And if I lay the original die down, you can see that I've extended it by another inch. And that's what I did on this card. I just cut it 3 times and taped them together. Now, I also have a tip for you. If you look at this card, you can see that I extended the die, but I've also used part of the scraps for embellishments. When you die cut your notebook image, you get this type of scrap. And I noticed that at the top there were little perfect circles, and they were exactly what I wanted for this card. So I added them and some gems, and I think it looks really nice. I hope you will try extending some of your paper smooches dies using these 2 techniques. I also hope you will use some of your scraps for embellishments on your next creation. Please leave a comment below with a link to your blog and your project. I'd love to check it out. Thanks so much for watching.